Thank you very much, Steph. Thank you.
Time now, exactly 9 o'clock. The cost of childcare is one of the biggest financial burdens on families in the UK.
These parents that we spoke to about it said it played a big role in deciding whether or not they would go back to work.
Oh, it's a considerable amount of my wage goes on my childcare, which I've had to pay since he was 5 months old. I've had to come back to work early due to the demands of family life. Obviously, it's ever increasing. My mortgage is going up, the childcare's going up.
It's like catch-22, isn't it? You need to go to work, you need to earn money, but you're spending most of it on childcare.
I think it's really extortionate and puts parents in a position where they may feel that they can't afford to work because of how much childcare is at the moment.
Yes, the reason we're talking about it today is that the Queen's speech later will include details of a new tax-free childcare scheme. It will offer an increased subsidy for working parents. Up to 1.9 million families with children under 12 will be eligible in the first year, including single parents and those on maternity leave.
Parents will have to set up an online account, allowing them to get a 20% subsidy per child on the annual cost of their childcare of up to £10,000 a year.
So in practice, if their annual bill was £6,000, they would pay £4,800 into the account, with the government adding a further £1,200.
Does it go far enough? Will it make a difference? Joining us now to discuss this is Fiona Atkinson, who runs a group of nurseries in the northwest of England, and Yvonne Goodwin, who's an independent financial advisor. Morning both. Thanks very much for joining us. We've had lots of questions from the audience, which I'll come to in a minute. But just tell us, first of all, from a childcare provider point of view, do you think this will make a difference? Will it make it easier for some parents to be paying for childcare?
I think in terms of flexibility it will, because they'll have more choice. For example, parents that are self-employed or work for a smaller company where a voucher scheme isn't available, it'll give them the options, and also options to perhaps employ a nanny, where before the voucher scheme was mainly focused at daycare, which doesn't give you the flexibility that sometimes is required.
Yvonne, I know you've had a more detailed look at some of the policies. One of the key differences is this registration, the online element. Do you want to talk us through, in sort of layman's terms, just how that works in practice?
Right, well, how it's supposed to work, because of course it's not going to come in until autumn in 2015. So the plan is that you go online, you register to check that you are eligible. To be eligible, you have to be earning more than £50 a week and up to £150,000 a year. Only if you have two people who are parents, and they actually define what parents are. So parents are looking after an eligible child, so that's a child up to 12. And you then go on and they tell you whether you're eligible or not. You set up the account, and then when you've paid your money in, the government put the subsidy in.
So many people have lots of questions. You asked them you answered the one about age limit, which is 12. Lots of people as well, Charlotte included, asking about grandparents, because it's not, of course, just sort of structured childcare that people use. So what about grandparents, she says? Will it include payments made to grandparents looking after their grandchildren while parents work?
Well, there are further details to be ironed out before this actually becomes enshrined in legislation and goes through all the parliamentary process. And it will say in there whether they have to register with Ofsted as they do now, or whether that is going to actually open things up. I think there will be some sort of registration of childcare providers, because we want to make sure that the people looking after our children are good and fit and proper people to do so.
Fiona, one of the reasons this is such a big issue is, and we heard from those people earlier on, the cost of childcare is substantial and a real worry for people. I mean, one of the ways of dealing with this would be to make it cheaper, you know, to bring your costs down. But if anything, the cost of running organisations like yours are going up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of a nursery setting, for example, the legislation and the health and safety laws that are in place, and also the ratios, etc., which are really, really important aspects of childcare, the hidden costs that people don't see, building maintenance, repair, maintenance of equipment and resources are vast, and people don't always consider those when they're thinking of childcare. But nursery isn't always the cheapest option. Sometimes nanny care or childminder or other types of care, like families, are alternative, better options.
And I suppose you'd have to be paying the grandparents formally as well in order to be able to qualify for any kind of subsidy anyway, wouldn't you?
Well, one of the other details to be ironed out is you put your money into this account, the government put the subsidy in. What hasn't been sorted yet is how the money then exits the account and gets to the childcare provider. That's got to
All
go
will
through.
emerge, I dare say, over time. Thank you both very much for your time this morning.
Well, there'll be winners and losers, and people who are already claiming under the current voucher scheme need to check very carefully, because once they come out of that scheme, they can't go back in again. And their children are covered up to the age of 15, where the new scheme's up to 12.
Thank you very much.
I feel we'll talk about this again. 9:05, you're watching Breakfast. Two of the acts competing in the final of Britain's Got Talent this weekend will be here in a moment. Illusionist Darcy Oak and violinist Lettuce Robotham.
Do you think he's just going to appear?
Just magically.
Before we
Possibly.
meet them, here's one last quick look at what's happening where you are.